First on my list is Burning Spirits, which is Salamangreat's structure deck, which gives you important cards like Cyber Mining, Sunlight Wolf, and Heat Soul. Salamangreat, while it's not meta, is the closest thing you can get to a meta deck with these structure decks. And with this structure deck you'll definitely be able to defeat meta decks every now and then. Your disruptions consist of board wipes, omni negates, monster destruction, card destructions, as well as Salamangreat's ability to generate advantage turn after turn thanks to cards like Gazelle. Salamangreat also has a lot of cheap starters like Lady D-Bug and Speedroid Terratop that you can play. You also have cards that continuously recycle themselves like Princess, which can destroy every turn and revive a fire every turn. Raging Phoenix, which will revive itself every turn whenever a fire monster is destroyed. You've also got Roar, which will set itself back on the field when you link summon a Salamangreat using itself. Here's a cheap deck list. Of course you should have Max C, Ash Blossom, Called by the Grave and Crossout as staples. As for the rest, the structure deck will give you all of the main deck cards, except for Salamangreat of Fire and Code of Soul, which you'll have to craft. You'll also have to craft 2 Raging Phoenix and 2 Pyro Phoenix for your extra deck, and maybe Promethean Princess if you can. Next is Blackwing's structure deck, which only gives you Zephyros as a good generic card, with the rest of the cards being for Blackwing only. Now there are many ways to play Blackwing that end on my different end boards. The combo you're seeing now is an FTK combo, which you can consistently do if you pick up this deck. But generally, other than the FTK, Blackwing generally ends on a board of 3 Tax Dragons, Dissipator, and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, meaning if you go first uninterrupted you're guaranteed to win. The deck does struggle with consistency a little bit, but that's why you play 3 Small World and 3 Allure of Darkness. This is my deck list. For the main deck you should just have the staples, Ash, Max C, Called by, and Crossout. As for the extra deck, you ideally want to craft Dissipator, Hot Red, not Hung. On number 3 is Origin of the Galaxy, which you'll need to buy 3 of, which gives you important cards that you'll use. But then you also have to buy just 1 Rage of Cypher. While the deck might seem complicated, there are a ton of articles and websites that will teach you how to play the deck and exactly what to do with different hands. Galaxy Eyes can set up a great board going first. But the deck's strength comes from having cards like Neo Prime, which can go up to 5400 attack and attack 3 times while also being unaffected by monster effects. Also, one of its main strengths comes with Galaxy 100, which allows you to banish a card from your opponent's extra deck, which can win you the duel if you're playing against something like Turlaments. or banishing something like Zeus so your opponent can't clear your board. This is my deck list. You should have the staples. Other than that, reinforcement of the army is free from solo mode. But you'll need to craft Foolish Burial. As for the extra deck, you'll need to craft 5 cards, which are number 107, number 38, also Photon Lord, Neo Prime, and finally Zeus. Next we have ninjas. Probably the cheapest one on the list since you really don't have to craft too much. But the structured deck also only gives you ninja cards, an extremely underrated deck. Ninjas can steal games against the best meta decks sometimes due to the nature of disruption, which consists of a double permanent Book of Moon, a monster banish, and a monster negate. Ninjas also utilize the rarely used mechanic of contact fusion, which allows you to fuse just by having monsters on your field. Downside is, this deck does hard lose to Ash Blossom, but that's only if your opponent knows what to negate. Ninjas also have a unique way to OTK with Boral Sword and Maizen, which allows all ninjas to attack directly. Here's my deck list. Again, you don't need to craft anything from the main deck other than the staples. As for the extra deck, you only really need to craft Zeus and Boral Sword. And finally we have Dark Magician, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. The structure decks gives you important cards like Illusion of Chaos and Magician's Soul, and of course the Dark Magician himself. Dark Magician is more of a control deck these days, utilizing cards like Circle and Eternal Soul to recycle Dark Magician, while banishing a card every turn, all while making your Dark Magician unaffected. The deck also utilizes strong and archetype fusion monsters that can banish all opponents' monsters or help protect your spells and traps from destruction. This is my deck list. You don't really need to craft anything at all. For the extra deck you can use any generic link monsters you might have. Subscribe if this video helped. Here's my deck list. Thanks for watching.